Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture.
And I'm Andy Murray from WhatCulture. And coming up today, I'm going to tell you all about WWE potentially targeting wrestlers who have appeared for AEW. And on top of that, I'm going to tell you what WWE really thinks about Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss.
Plus, WWE have got big plans for next year's Royal Rumble, and Taz shoots on Triple H on last night's episode of AEW Dark. This is the news.
Shoot season back open, baby. Let's kick things off by talking about WWE signing policy. Report here, Fightful Select, basically saying the WWE recently, at least, was looking at wrestlers who had appeared on AEW Dark and New Japan's Strong show, which currently goes out from the United States, with a view to signing them. AEW and New Japan moonlighters, guest stars, part-timers, whatever you want to call them, coming in to WWE's signing crosshairs. This was apparently how they ended up getting hold of Ben Carter. This was announced a couple of weeks ago, with the talented Brit seemingly joining WWE from under AEW's nose after 2 appearances on Dark and 1 on Dynamite. That awesome match with Scorpio Sky. This may have also prompted, WWE trying to acquire these people, may have also prompted AEW to pick up Anthony Bowens yesterday. So they confirmed the signing of Bowens, who has previously appeared on Dark and was on again last night, alongside his new tag team partner, Max Caster. That's been confirmed by AEW. These guys are signed. They're going to be competing as the Acclaimed. They're going to be in the tag division. Cool stuff. However, WWE's new policy may have forced AEW to go, oh crap, yeah, we better sign these guys so we don't have another Ben Carter type situation. The report also notes, interestingly, regarding Bowens in particular, WWE actually attempted to pick him up to compete in NXT back in spring 2019 or around that time, though the deal ended up falling through simply because WWE didn't get back to the guy. That sounds good. And per the report here, WWE staff members that Fightful spoke to at the time were a bit confused by this, as they figured, well, Bowens should be here. What's going on? Why have we not signed him? It may also go some way, and this isn't part of the report, this is just me bollocking. Maybe this explains WWE's reported recent interest in Thunder Rosa as well. She's been on AEW programming several times over the past couple of months, but she is now revealed to be signed to the NWA through 2021, and recently said as well that she wants to eventually end up in a promotion that will allow her to keep pursuing her outside interests. So she's a mixed martial artist, for example. She's got her own promotion, Mission Pro. She's got a lot going on elsewhere. Bowens looked good again on Dark last night. He calls himself the 5-tool player. It's a very appropriate nickname. Good wrestler, appears to have a bit of charisma, great look and so forth. So it's easy to see why any company would be interested in picking up a guy like that. Ben Carter, obviously we've covered that situation in depth here. But it stands to reason that WWE would see these people on AEW shows and go, oh, that Carter guy looks really good. Let's get him before they can get him, because that's what they've done for years. Well, since AEW came along, of course, it's been sign this asset so other people can't have them. Ultimately, you just hope that the careers of these people pan out in the way they want them to, regardless of where they sign.
Yeah, this is sort of a development of the story we reported months, if not years ago, when AEW was first getting established. WWE was throwing money at absolutely anyone and everyone, whether they already had them or whether they were sort of hoarding talent to make sure no one else could get them. It's been WWE's policy. So long as we've got you, no one else can make you a star. Now, for someone like Ben Carter, I don't doubt that both AEW and WWE probably promised him the world. Like you alluded to, Ben Carter said it was a dream of his to work for WWE, so that probably counted towards his decision. And the difficulty you have here, if you're AEW, is you want to try out talent, you want to develop people, you want to see who will work best with your brand. But when you do that on AEW Dark, everyone else can see it as well. Yeah. And in the interim, they can make a phone call here or a phone call there and say, hey brother, do you want to come to the WWE? And at the end of the day, as much as AEW's great and a really developing, growing brand, it's WWE. It is synonymous, as you've always saying, Andy, a bit like UFC is with MMA. If you ask casual people about wrestling, they won't talk about pro wrestling and New Japan and AEW. They'll just go, oh, that WWE thing. So that probably counts towards it as well. Yeah,
there's a big part of it, man. I believe one of the Twitter questions goes into a little bit of detail on this. But look, a lot of wrestlers' dream ultimately is to end up in the biggest company in the history of the sport. So that's definitely a factor.
Exactly. And speaking of the biggest company in the sport, one of their biggest events of the year, the Royal Rumble, is going to be, well, something different according to WrestleVote's sources. They tweeted this yesterday, I believe. Where's the tweet? There we go. Yeah, yesterday our time, talking about the Royal Rumble, saying regardless of the next location for the Thunderdome, which I'll get into in a second, it is expected to last into February. WWE is working on, quote, something different for the Royal Rumble event. They want fans, even if it's just for that one show. Now, this will of course raise questions about, well, isn't, Florida just sort of carrying on doing what they're doing? That may factor into it. Texas, North Carolina, Illinois, all reportedly being explored as temporary homes for the WWE once the Amway Center agreement concludes. I believe they're there until late November at the latest, but there's also teams coming in to use that as well. No date yet announced for the 2021 Royal Rumble, but you can obviously assume towards the end of January. And yeah, as much as we can sit here and go, well, they've done WrestleMania and SummerSlam, and they'll do Survivor Series with either no fans or the, Thunderdome fans or a really select group of fans, the Royal Rumble is kind of the big one in terms of proper crowd reactions for all the, returns, debuts, etc.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. What's the Royal Rumble? Can you imagine the Royal Rumble in an empty building? It'd be really, really strange. Obviously, WrestleMania was really, really strange in an empty building as well. But the Royal Rumble's another one of those where you want that big euphoric rush from all the big moments, from the returns, from the victories, from the maybe the disasters, like Daniel Bryan getting thrown out in 2014 and 15, and the Roman Reigns and The Rock thing. Yeah, it's one you ideally want a crowd there, and theoretically with the Florida state governor opening up sporting events to just allow people to flood back in effectively with no real restrictions, they do have the freedom to do that. You just hope ultimately that whatever's done is safe and we don't have people piled on top of each other in buildings if the research in the current situation dictates that it is not safe.
Yes, I think as much as we all want that edge return reaction from this year's Royal Rumble, safety first, health first. That's the most important thing out of everything here.
Safety and science. Follow them. Let's move on to our next story today. Let's talk about Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss, specifically WWE's plans for them, how they see them currently on WWE Raw. We've got a report here from PW Insider talking about Wyatt and Bliss. And yes, WWE do see them as a babyface act going forward. This is following on from their move from SmackDown to Raw as part of the 2020 draft. That led to a bit of speculation as to what they might be doing, what kind of direction they take, but they're babyfaces. They are the good guys. This is kind of in line with Wyatt and Bliss's positioning at the moment. They are opposite Randy Orton. Orton has a lot going on right now. He's got Drew McIntyre, he's got Roman Reigns, The Fiend is getting involved in his business as well. He's a busy dude. He's not going to have, a clear schedule for a long time. But obviously, when you're positioned across Randy Orton, who is in some of the heel form of his career at the moment, you can't be a bad guy, can you? Now, obviously, The Fiend, you look at the guy, you look at the character, horror movie monster, all this stuff, and go, that's not a natural babyface. But on the other side of the coin, the guy has always been a tremendous merch shifter. I believe at one point he was the company's highest. People really connect with the character. People love it. People are always going to kind of cheer for it when there are live crowds and so forth, particularly when things like losing to Goldberg happen. People rally behind perceived injustices like that. And you only need to look at Twitter like the morning after or the night of the average episode of Raw to see how into the Alexa Bliss character people are as well. So, hey man, it's not a traditional fit as a babyface, but people are really into it. And if there were live crowds there right now, I think they'd be cheering the both of them. So, hey, cool.
Yeah, it's very surreal to sell someone who got out of wrestling in 2018. Do you remember Alexa Bliss, who's just the perfect female heel, and Bray Wyatt? Yeah, they're baby faces now, and Bray Wyatt's a murder clown. Insane. But like you say, Wyatt and Bliss in particular recently, one of the best things on Monday Night Raw. I thought the Firefly Funhouse segment, effing and jeffing all over the place with Abby the Witch was great this week. Like you say, anytime you're opposite Randy Orton, you're probably going to be a babyface as well. And again, just to reiterate what you said, any perceived sort of weaknesses or weakening of the Fiend character, has been WWE's fault. It's not been Bray Wyatt's fault. Like, Bray Wyatt didn't sit there and go, yeah, I think we should go to a no contest inside Hell in a Cell. I think that's probably best for everyone involved. So, like you say, it's just nice, if we can just zoom out to see the bigger picture, it's just nice for Bray Wyatt to have a good idea and be able to actually do it to its fullest and be like a world champion. Think how long it took for him to become world champion, and then he just sort of went, maggots on the ring, I'll give it back to Randy Orton at WrestleMania. So yeah, that's nice, I suppose. But yeah, anyone who can sell that, what was it, $6,000 belt? Yeah, they'll probably make him a babyface.
Something like that, yeah. I mean, if they even sold one of those things, brother, push him to the moon, really.
Yeah, well, let me just show you. No, I haven't got one here. Of course I haven't got one here. I only buy the best wrestling merchandise, of course.
Yeah.
Let's conclude by talking about Taz. He is a legend. He is, of course, a friend of the channel. And he is a commentator on AEW Dark who likes to have a bit of fun. And we all need a bit of fun in our life, particularly on days like today. Frankie Kazarian was wrestling on Dark. He was facing regular enhancement talent Rising. And when Taz was talking about it, he said, you know what his first name should be? Terror. Nah, that'd never get over. That would be the terrorising Andy Murray. Where have I heard that before?
I mean, really, really weird. But, you know, to hear Triple H's 1994 WCW gimmick shouted out in the year of our Lord 2020. But, you know, Taz having a bit of fun. Taz cuts loose on Dark. He doesn't give an F. He cracks jokes. He has a laugh. Him and Excalibur have great rapport on that show. And this is just him messing around, man. I've loved Taz's work in 2020. Him just kind of messing around with his mate on commentary on Dark has been a lot of fun. And look, if you're kind of getting worked up by this, Triple H's pissant promotion comment last year kind of opens them up to things like this. And it's just Taz having a bit of fun, man. It's not worth getting upset about.
Yeah, I like Dark and the way they do stuff for commentary. They had Anthony Ogogo on there a while back, I believe.
Last night as well. Yep.
They have Vader Scott on there occasionally. Vicky Guerrero's shown up there in the past. It's just a nice little show, and like you say, it's just a joke, which means they're probably going to say, oh, well, yeah, remember that time? There's going to be a video on WWE's YouTube. I've just realised this week going, hey, remember when Taz was ECW champion and Triple H beat him? So there you go. Who's the real winner? That was the real quiz. So anyway, let's move on to your Twitter questions. At WhatCulture WWE, of course, if you want to get in touch with us. First question today comes from British Mac, who says, a couple of weeks back, MJF mentioned joining a faction. Do you see Inner Circle turning on Jericho at Full Gear, which is this Saturday? Make sure you join us for the live stream for that. And aligning with MJF, and then MJF turning on Wardlow because he didn't beat Hangman, thus making two new baby faces.
So I think for me, the Inner Circle thing, the resolution of that is MJF kind of taking Jericho's position as the top heel dude with a bunch of goons and so forth. However, I can kind of see the group splintering as part of that. I can see Jericho on one side with Sammy and Hager, and perhaps MJF just retains like Proud and Powerful, and he has Wardlow by his side for a while longer, and that could be the new Inner Circle or whatever. I think the Wardlow babyface turn will come, but I think it'll come a while from now. I think that's still a few months off, and I think it will be Wardlow who turns rather than MJF booting him out. I think it'll be Wardlow just driving his heel ass through the stage. Yeah, man, he's going to kick his ass, and it's going to be awesome. And I hope there's a crowd for it, because the pot for that will be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Me and Cedric talked about this recently. There's a podcast all about it. Go and check that out, because we get very, very giddy about that mountain of a man. And yeah, also, speaking of MJF, if you haven't seen it, check out his tweet, I believe from yesterday, with, I want to say, Santana. He basically tweeted in trying to do the hip speak, and Santana's face kind of says it all on that. So go and check that out on MJF's Twitter. Gregory James, because our second question of the day, saying, do you lads think one of the many issues with WWE continuing to make decisions the way that they do is that they keep getting top talent to sign with the company? Why change when it's not affecting your ability to get the names to sign?
I don't think that's the reason. I think that the reason that they haven't changed their ways is because their ways are extremely successful in generating money for them. Their balance sheet and their profit and loss and their quarterly, whatever, The numbers show that this company for a long, long time has been effectively failure-proof. When you're generating record amounts of profit, as they're already doing in 2020, why would you change? Why would you do a single thing differently? Because stuff on a business side, on a money-generating side with these crazy TV rights fees and the Saudi Arabia money and everything else is working for them on that end. Might not be working for certain people creatively, myself included a lot of the time, but you know, if they're making money, they're not going to change their goddamn ways. Also, they've had, you know, a 20-year monopoly as well. So why would you change that as well? So I think with regards to talent and stuff, some wrestlers always want to go to WWE because WWE is the biggest promotion in the game and the best job security and potentially the best salaries and stuff. So if you're interested, if that's a deciding factor for you, yes, you will always go there regardless of who's getting buried or put through a table 7 weeks on a row on Raw and stuff. But I think there's a lot of things contributing to it, but I think mainly it's their financial security.
In summary, Andy, the numbers don't lie, do they?
But yeah, Steiner math, Jesus Christ.
Jobber C137 gives us our final question of the day, also saying Macha? M-A-C-H-A. How are we saying that, Andy?
Is this the Rusev thing?
No, it's the dog. Good dog. I just want to say good dog.
Matcha. Let's go Matcha. Yeah.
Matcha. Good dog. Anyway, morning, gents. I find myself very bored with the Tribal Chief storyline, and I know that's a hot take, says Jobber C137. What are your hot takes of boring rivalries or storyline?
Yeah, man. Like, I really love the Tribal Chief storyline, but I'm kind of with you on the Hell in a Cell match. Not really for me. A bit too, here's the story, just gonna hit you over the head with the story. I mean, I'll get crap for this, but we've just spoken about it as a news story. I'm not really into Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss. It's not my kind of wrestling, and that's okay. It's all subjective. We can enjoy different things, but my tastes in wrestling are I like super serious sport-like stuff where competition is number one, and I like really awful, terrible, like late era WCW stuff and weird crap like that. The Alexa Bliss Bray Wyatt storyline, to me, it's not so bad like I'm laughing at it or whatever. It's just not to my taste. It's a little bit wacky, the tongue and the stuff. Like the swearing this week was a lot of fun, and there are bright moments, but for the most part, man, it's not to my tastes. I'm sorry.
I think that's completely fair enough, and I'm going to go the opposite direction and say something that I like that everyone else hates. I still think one final beat between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa is quite good.
Fair play.
Oh, I've got to have a chat with the Dudleys today. They're not going to let me forget that, are they?
Yeah.
Let's move on to today's and finally, and John Silver once again providing the much needed positivity on his Twitter. He's tweeted last night a new idea for a show. Man versus food, but it's just me beating the crap out of hamburgers and stuff. I mean, I'd watch it, Andy.
Shout out to my friend Robbie back home, who legitimately once threatened to punch another man's steak. So similar threads there. I love it.
Let us know when you've had a fight with the food in comment section below, and let us know your thoughts on everything we've discussed today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcast previews of the Wednesday Night War later on today. Let us know your thoughts and Twitter questions on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow Andy Murray at
Andy H Murray. The H stands for hey. I'm about to go beat the crap out of a turkey burger. Ooh. Yep.
I'm going to elbow drop an ostrich burger whilst you're doing that. Tweet me at Adam Wilborn. Screw ostriches. Tweet us all at WhatCultureWWE. But for now, my thanks, Andy Murray. Thank you for joining us. It's going to be okay, whatever happens. And we'll see you soon.
Cheer yourself up. Choke slam a Twinkie.